you formally, and I have a long bio for you to read to our people watching this video.
A long bio for who?
For you. Did you bring it?
No, I didn't bring a
Okay,
bio.
well, then we're going to get to that part. So thank you, NAVAIR, for doing that. Also, we extended outreach with community colleges, and particularly with Palomar Community College. So Dr. Wing from Palomar College and Dr. Jano from Southwestern Community College, they have extended support, and they have been with us since last year. So we are very appreciative of their collaboration, in particular to the National Geospatial Technology Center of Excellence. We appreciate the partnership with the post-secondary education organizations like the community colleges. So thank you very much for your support. Now, you should know, and you might remember this, Jose, in 2017, when we started this program, we received the 2017 Innovate Award by the Classroom of the Future Foundation.
Yes.
So that was a very good award. It was one way to describe what this really is, and hopefully we're going to get it again.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
You can sure use it.
Okay. I know you're going to have a lot of questions, and we hope for you to have questions throughout this video.
If you don't, start thinking.
Start thinking about your questions. So how can we get your questions? At the bottom part of the screen, there's a section called comments. You can write your questions as we go through the kickoff of the event, and we will try to answer those questions at the end of the schedule that we have today. So with that, I'm going to introduce the head of the program, which is Jose Ramos from NAVAIR. I don't have a 3-page bio for you, but I will appreciate if you can tell us briefly how this program started 3 years ago. And before that, what do you do at NAVAIR, and what drove you to work with us with this program?
That's a loaded question. Okay, so the first question was what? What do I do for NAVAIR?
What do you do for NAVAIR?
I work for NAVAIR over at MCAS Miramar. I'm the V-22 rotors engineer for Miramar, for Pendleton, at Atsugi, and Kaneohe Bay in Hawaii. So basically, I just help the maintainers understand what they're supposed to do when they have to fix the aircraft. That's basically what I do.
And how it happened that one day you show up in our district offices and you said, this is what we have, and we want to participate and collaborate with Sweetwater Union High School District students.
I think that was Claudia that said that. I just happened to come along for the ride. So it's kind of weird how it happened. Several years ago, at work, when I was working for the F-18s at North Island, we had a little engineering club. And during lunch, sometimes after work, mostly during lunch, we would get together and just kind of talk about ideas and share ideas and talk about what projects we were working on. And one day I brought my quadcopter to work that I had made. It was 3D printed, and bought a lot of parts from Home Depot. And anyway, I made this quadcopter and was sitting on my desk after the meeting, and my manager was walking by. You guys know, his name just left me.
He's looking
Farzad.
at NAVAIR engineers.
Farzad, sorry, yeah. Farzad came by my desk, and he was staring at the quadcopter. And I got kind of nervous because, I brought my toy to work. And he was staring at it and staring at it and staring at it, and I was getting really nervous. He must have stood there for 15, 20 minutes just staring at it. And finally I said, if you want to pick it up and mess with it, you can go ahead and pick it up. You're not going to break it. And if you do, it's not hard to fix. And
Well, that's what you told me, remember? And
I told you that too, yeah, and you broke it. Yeah, so did Joel.
Mr. Faust, he also broke it.
So Farzad asked me, he said, Jose, in his accent, did you build this? I said, yes, it's my hobby. I design and build drones as a hobby. And he said, this is what our kids should be doing in high school, not playing with Legos. And I was like, yeah, okay. That sounds cool. He says, you need to talk with Claudia Garcia and get this into the high school program. I was like, yeah, okay. Make it happen, thinking he wouldn't call her. I believe that was a Wednesday. The very next day, Thursday, Claudia called me. And she said, hey, I heard you built a drone, and I think we can get it into the high schools. And I was like, yeah, it's super exciting. Cool. And she says, okay, so let's get together and talk about this. And I was like, okay, sure. Again, thinking she wouldn't bother making an appointment because I know how busy she is. And sure enough, I get a meeting maker on my email, and I'm thinking, holy cow, she's serious. So I start putting together a little bit of information about what I did, how I did it, how much it cost. And the next day she came by, and we had a little discussion, and she wanted to see the drone, and she wanted to, how much did this cost? And I told her how much it cost, and her jaw fell. And she said, we got to get this to Leo. And I was like,
What Leo?
yeah, that's what I said.
Exactly.
I said, who's Leo?
Who's Leo? Yeah. Everyone wants to know who's Leo.
And I was like, yeah, get it to Leo. I didn't know who you were, and I was like, yeah, get it to Leo. That sounds great. And, thinking she wouldn't do it because she's busy. And sure enough, she called with an appointment to visit with you. And I brought the drone and showed you what it was, what it can do. I let you fly it, and you were kind of very apprehensive, and you were like, no, I'm going to break it. I said, yeah, I know. And you flew it, and you broke it, and I believe you still have the pieces, right?
I still have the pieces.
It flew.
And, I think it's important for the students that are going to do this for the first time to know how this started. So this is not something that is not like Bex, is not like First, is not like Sea Perch. It's something that is homegrown, and the way it works, it's something that happened here. And it's through the collaboration that we develop, and we're very appreciative of what we've done together, and we hope to see that this collaboration takes us to a different level.
Is this a hugging moment? Do we hug?
Well,
no,
we
it's
can
okay.
do a hug. So with that, it looks like Alec finally got the image of the hexacopter on the picture-in-picture screen. So with that, let me ask you, let's go to business. Now let's talk about the actual 2019 UAS-Drone Challenge. So the first question is, what is UAS? And some people call this UAB.
Yes. So as far as the federal government's concerned, the FAA calls these unmanned aircraft unmanned aerial systems. So it's UAS. And because of the size of ours, because it's under 55 pounds, it's considered an SUAS, which is small unmanned aerial system. And UAV is a term synonymous mostly with the commercial industry because they don't necessarily keep up with what the FAA is calling it. Unmanned aerial vehicle. That's how it started, but then the FAA put a definition on it and called it an aerial system.
That's good. Well, this is our third annual UAS-Drone Challenge.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about now about the main parts of the challenge. So first part is who can participate in this challenge, and what are the requirements to be a member of the high school teams. Then we're also going to address the part that connects to the mentors and the mentorship. What is build time? What are the different elements of the challenge? And then we're going to talk about what happens the day before the actual challenge and the day during the challenge, right? Mm-hmm. So first, let's talk about the team eligibility. At the beginning of this video, we listed the names of the schools that confirmed their participation. We listed the names of the teachers, and we're very grateful that we have teachers that are willing to participate in this type of events. But now, who can be a part of this team from those high schools that we just mentioned earlier?
Any full-time student that's a part of the high school. They have to be an active full-time student.
Can we have more than one team from each school?
No. One team per school. You're only allowed to have roughly 6 to 8 students per team.
So I remember something that we decided earlier as we were working on coming up with this program. We wanted to have girls involved. So yes. Is there a requirement about girls?
Yes. It is a mandatory requirement. There must be at least one female on the team. If you don't have a female on your team, don't bother registering, don't bother coming. You have to have a female on your team.
Something else that we see happening with other programs is if only seniors participate in the team, this year is great. Next year, they're at the bottom of the food chain. So has a requirement. We have it as a third of the team to be non-seniors.
Yes.
To make sure that there's a continuum as we continue to grow
That's
the
correct.
program.
Yeah, with a lot of what we do in the classroom with the aircraft with the students, there's a lot of tribal knowledge. There's a lot of things that aren't necessarily written down anywhere. There's things you learn along the way, and those are aspects. Those are things that we want to make sure come back every time.
So those are the eligibility criteria for the high school teams, right?
Yes.
So now that we have that information clear, and look, we have more people showing up today. I feel special, right? It's not like last year that we had a whole meeting and all the students and all the teachers.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right on.
Okay, since we're getting to the NAVAIR introduction portion, almost there. Let's talk briefly about the safety of the program, and in particular, what are we planning for the students that are participating? Oh, by the way, about team eligibility, I have to say this. Even though we're asking and we're requiring each team to have 6 to 8 members, every school can have as many students as they want to be involved in. But the day of the challenge, we can only take 8 students maximum.
8.
So if you are Mr. Avasan, I know you're watching. Let me get closer. Mr. Avasan, if you're watching, yes, you can have your entire classes involved in this program. But the day of the challenge?
The day of the challenge, the only ones that are on the roster are the ones that are allowed to be on the field competing. The rest of your team can sit in the bleachers and watch.
Perfect. So that's good, because sometimes you have more students that want to be involved, and as the season progresses, some students, they're not as active as...
Prepare them for next year even.
Yes. Yeah. So it's good to have as many students involved as possible. So now let's talk about safety and the different things that we want to ask the students to be involved with, like the Academy Model Aeronautics.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Academy of Model Aeronautics. Yes.
There you go. So let's talk about what is that?
So that is a non-for-profit organization that teaches model aerospace, and they have a plethora of individual classes and safety certificates that each student can get. Now, I'm requiring that every student be a member of the AMA. Now, there's a lot of benefits that go along with it.
I'm going to be a high school student. Why?
Why what?
Why are you requiring the students to be members of the AMA?
Because, for one, when you're a member, you get free membership as a student. It doesn't cost you $80 a year like it costs me. So there's that. The added benefits of being a member is you have access to all the online educational classes that they have for free. So there is a requirement to go through an AMA course and just kind of become familiar with some of the safety aspects of owning or flying an aircraft. There's also a lot of online classes that can direct you onto bigger and better things if you want to make aviation a career. It doesn't matter if you want to be a mechanic or a pilot or an engineer. There's a lot of things you can start with.
So there's multiple benefits for them to be part of it.
Yes. Along with that, you also get the AMA insurance coverage, which if you're flying with your club or if you're flying in an approved club field, you get up to $1 million of coverage.
So I was talking earlier to Andrew. Andrew is a sophomore at Hilltop High School. He actually...
Raise your hand, Andrew. Who's Andrew?
Right there.
Oh, okay.
He participates in a drone racing league. So I don't know if, Andrew, do you have a AMA license or certificate? Okay, so he says that...
Father? Okay.
He says that his dad has a certification, and he's flying under his dad certification. So it's good for the students to have this certification. With that, and through our partnership with the community colleges, especially Southwestern College and Palomar College, Dr. Jano is offering something special to all the students that are participating in this program.
Yes, he's offering a free online safety course through the university, and that becomes they become eligible for credit through the college, I believe, and it's a free credit.
So they're gonna take an online self-paced safety course related to drones.
Yes.
And they will be eligible to get college credit.
Yes.
That's great.
And it's free.
And that's a good price.
Yeah, and
so
it's a requirement, so they have to do it.
Excellent. So now that we talked about the overall big picture, how all this thing works. And let's we know how it works because we've done this 2 years in a row, and the teachers know how this thing works. At least the ones that are coming back. But let's paint the bigger picture of a new teacher and a new student. So how this program works. For instance, what do they are supposed to expect from the electronic components, and where are they getting the mechanical components and all the different elements?
Okay, so there's a lot of different elements to the aircraft. The wooden beams, of course, you get from Home Depot, $1.76. A lot of the electronics you can get from Amazon and or Hobby King. That's where I get all my stuff. I was informed this weekend that eBay has a lot of stuff really cheap. A lot of the mechanical parts are the items that you're going to 3D print with your 3D printer. So all the plastic components, nearly all the plastic components you can print with your 3D printer. And
so basically what you're saying is all the electronics they're getting, a new school is getting a kit of electronics to build a quadcopter.
Is it a complete kit? Do we know for sure?
We hope for it to be complete.
Okay. Okay.
So the new schools, the plan is for them to get a kit of electronics to build a quadcopter.
Quadcopter,
right?
Yes.
And the schools are coming back from last year. We're asking them to turn their current quadcopter into a hexacopter.
Yes.
So what the returning schools are not getting a full new kit.
No, they're getting a modification packet.
Which I've been calling it the upgrade kit.
Upgrade kit, yeah.
Right?
So it's going to come with 2 speed controls, 2 motors, basically the number of items that you need to convert your current quadcopter to a hexacopter.
And at one time, Alec is going to show the image of the prototype that you have for an hexacopter. Few pointers for me as I was going through the list of things. I just realized that the size of the propellers are different.
Yes.
So that was an eye opener for me. So the hexacopter, the blades, the propellers are smaller than the quadcopter.
A little bit smaller this year. Yeah, last year the quad that we flew swung 11-inch props. This year they're swinging 9-inch props. That's about the smallest I could go with that motor without having to get a whole new motor. Plus that motor's nice and cheap, very repairable.
So here we go. We have a common kit of parts for new schools and returning schools. Now all the mechanical components they will 3D print.
Yes.
Right?
3D print or acquire.
And they have access to all the STL files for either the quadcopter or the hexacopter in a Google Drive that we set it up already.
Yes.
So our advice is to start printing.
Start printing as fast as possible, and don't print just enough parts to build one aircraft. I'd recommend to build enough parts to build at least 3 or 4 aircraft because you're going to crash.
So here we go again. We have common kit of parts. We have the mechanical components that you will be printing through your 3D printer. Then we have the mentorship. This is the special piece of this program. I have to say that because I've been in communication with some of the seniors that graduated last year, and one of the most impactful things of the program for them was the collaboration and the relationships that they built with the mentors. So the mentors from NAVAIR are assigned to specific schools.
Yes.
The teacher has to be there all the time.
All the time.
The teacher will be there all the time, and the mentors are there to assist. The mentors are not going to go there just to build the drone.
No. Even though some of them may want to.
So teachers, let me get this close to the camera. Teachers, if you see the mentors, and I'm looking at them, trying to get their hands on and build the drone for your students.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, I think that's a perfect segue. So we have common kit of parts, we have 3D printer parts, and we have the mentors, and we're gonna have some videos this year, right? You made some videos so the students can refer to those videos and have a special information on how to do certain things.
I did, yes. So the build videos that are available are only for the quad. Now this weekend, Friday and Saturday, I had a build session with all the mentors, so they know the modification that they have to do. So those videos for assembly and installation were not made. All the knowledge is in their heads.
Great.
Yeah.
Because I remember first year. Let me see. Raise your hand, mentors, if you were part of this program during the first year. There you go. That was fun. So the mentors and the students learned together on how to do this thing. So this year things are a little better for everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
So with that, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna ask each engineer from NAVAIR to come and take the hot seat, which is the one I'm sitting on, and they're gonna introduce themselves. They're gonna give their name. They're gonna talk about what's their career: mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, computer science, whatever career they have. What's their position at NAVAIR, what they do at NAVAIR, and then they're gonna disclose what is the high school they're gonna be mentoring, and if they want to give an advice to the students, set some guidelines of expectations of how things should work. That this is the right time. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
You guys ready for that? Yes? We're good? Look at that. It's like high school again.
Yeah.
Right? So why don't we start with mentors from year one that are here?
First year, Nick, take off your engineering gloves. No, your engineering gloves means you get your hands out of your pocket. Whenever I go down to the hangar at Miramar, they always tell me, put your engineering gloves on so I don't touch anything.
Okay, so hi, I'm Nick Candrella, and I'm going to go over. So I'm an aerospace engineer with NAVAIR on the F-18 fleet support team. So I support fast jets. Went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida, and I will be working with Hilltop High School this year. So go Lancers! Oh, really? Sorry, did that come through very faint? I'm terribly sorry.
Put it on your chin.
Put it on my chin? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I got no monitor here. All right. Anyway, right. So I'm going to repeat that really quickly. Hi, I'm Nick Candrella. I've been with NAVAIR for about 7 years. I'm an aerospace engineer in the structures team on the F-18 fleet support team. I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida to study aerospace engineering. I also have a master's in systems engineering from the Naval Postgraduate School. And I will be working with Hilltop High School. Go Lancers.
All right. Juliana, you are next.
Hi everybody, my name is Juliana. I am going to be working with Palomar High School again this year. I worked with them last year. I am a mechanical engineer, graduated from Stevens Institute of Technology over on the East Coast, New Jersey. I work on the critical structures team over at NAVAIR and on the fleet support team for F-18s, and I'm excited to be part of this again this year.
Hi, good to see you.
Hi, my name is Alison. I am an aerospace engineer at NAVAIR working on the landing gear for the F-18. I attended University of Arizona and studied mechanical engineering. I will be working with San Ysidro High School, and I just hope we can be inclusive and everyone can really show what they got to contribute to this team.
Right on. Good job. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Candace Day. I am a materials engineer with NAVAIR. I work on F-18s, V-22s, E-2C2s, all aircraft pretty much that NAVAIR works on in North Island because I do non-destructive inspection and testing, so I make sure that everything is safe to fly. I graduated from Wagner College in New York with a physics degree, and I am going to be doing Bonita Vista High School. I wish I had a program like this when I went to high school, so I just want you guys to take every single ounce out of this. It's going to be worth it one day.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, time is money. Time is money.
All right. All right, cool. Let's just go through that.
Yeah.
Hi guys, my name's Daniel Amador. I am an aerospace engineer. I went to San Diego State University, right? I'm a structural engineer for the forward fuselage of the F-18s. So I basically work
for Super Hornets.
Super Hornet. So work on any repair that comes in, any damage, get to repair it or design a repair. I am going to be mentoring Palomar this year, first year, so bear with me. For expectations, I just want you guys to be as involved as possible. Ask questions if you have anything, like just let us know, ask your peers, like get involved as much as you can because you're going to get a lot out of this and it's going to help you a lot in the future. And don't be afraid to come to us or ask us questions outside of this. Like just let us know. We'll do our best to accommodate you. And yeah, that's about it.
Right on. Thank you. You may have to say your name like 3 times.
Hi everyone, my name is Yenrei. Yenrei, it's spelled really weird, but pronounced pretty easily. I also work at NAVAIR as a legacy engineer for the center fuselage, so same as Daniel, but on the older aircraft. I went to UC San Diego and I studied structural engineering, and I will be working with Hilltop. And it's my first year, so definitely excited to see how this whole project goes, and I know all you guys probably have a bunch of extracurriculars, so thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you. All right. There you go.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Shanahan, and I'm on the advanced design team for the F-18s at NAVAIR. I went to Cal Poly Pomona, where I majored in aerospace engineering, and I got a minor in mathematics. I already talked about my work position. I'm going to be working with Eastlake High School. All right. And honestly, my expectations for the students that I'm going to be working with, learn as much as you can and have as much fun as you can. And that's about it.
Hi everyone, my name is Gio. I'm an aerospace engineer at NAVAIR. Practice makes perfect, you know. So I work on the F-18 Super Hornets for the center aft fuselage.
Did you go home and practice in front of the mirror?
No, I just have a lot of just public speaking experience,
Good for you.
so
Right
it's been pretty easy for me.
Yeah, so
I'll need a list of what. Yep, the script. There you go. So I work on an F-18 Super Hornets center aft fuselage. Just make sure that all of our jets fly again, and always ready to work for us. So this year I'm going to be mentoring San Isidro High School, and my expectation for everyone is going to be just work hard, face each challenge with excitement and determination, and above all else, have fun.
Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was awesome, dude. Thank you. Jesus.
Hello.
What's up? All right, here's your.
All right. So my name is Jesus Pacheco. I work on the advanced design team, basically doing repairs for the F-18. I went to the University of Texas El Paso, and my school is going to be Montgomery. Montgomery? Woo! My expectations basically just take this opportunity and, as my partner said, get as much as you can from this, because nobody, unless you are involved in the project, you get to see the benefit of this. So your guys are ahead of many people. So
take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it.
For sure.
All right.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
No NASA shirt today?
No NASA shirt today. Hello, my name is Edgar Jimenez, and I got a degree in aerospace engineering from San Diego State. There we go, Aztecs. I am currently a structural engineer at NAVAIR, working on the wings for the Legacy F-18. I got Chula Vista as my high school. No cheers? All right, one. Here we go. And for my expectations, I just want you guys to be really excited and don't be afraid to fail, because that's how you learn.
That's
and that's
right.
how we improve.
Excellent. I love that. Thank you. Ernest.
Hi, how's it going, everybody? My name is Ernest. So my name is Ernest. Career, my career. I'm an aerospace engineer, but I got a mechanical engineering degree. I've worked with the landing gear team and environmental controls team, and now I'm taking care of the flight controls team. But I also take care of like pylons and bomb release units and like other kind of random stuff. University I attended is UCSD here in town. Position responsibilities is kind of like what I described. Flight controls mostly, but I do a lot of kind of side work and like just help people out around the office. High school assignment, I'm going to come back to the Southwestern School in Imperial Beach. So I'm really excited. Hopefully see some familiar faces there and new faces. So it's going to be really good. And expectations, just I guess that everybody's involved. You know, we will try to assign roles and responsibilities, and hopefully everybody will kind of, take their roles to heart and, do the best you guys can. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a good time. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you, Ernest. Who's next? Come on, Casey.
Hello, I'm Casey Fitzpatrick. My position at NAVAIR is in the forward fuselage team for the Super Hornets. I went to UC San Diego. I'm an aerospace engineer. And I'll be mentoring at Chula Vista. And my expectations for you guys is to learn as much as you can, and for me to learn as much as I can, because sharing different perspectives is creating a great environment for everyone to learn. So it's not just about you guys, it's about us, it's about everyone.
Right on. Thank you. Excellent. All right. Come on, Eugene. Bring it, my friend. It's the only one that watched the videos.
Hi, everyone. Eugene Garcia. I got my degree in aerospace engineering from San Jose State University. I work on the critical structures team for the F-18. And my high school assignment is going to be Castle Park. My expectations for this year is that everybody tries their best and be ready to crack a few eggs.
Right on. Right on. Thank you. Thank you. Jeremy. Jeremy, here you go, my friend. And here's your list.
Hello, my name is Jeremy. I have a mechanical engineering degree from SDSU, and I'm an aerospace engineer with NAVAIR. I do structural repairs for the F-18 Super Hornets. I'm the mentor for Otay Ranch High School, and I'm the solo mentor. So let's see how that goes. and it's my first time.
Right on.
The only expectation I have is that you guys win. Let's see how this goes.
Right on. Thank you. Good job, Jeremy. I think that was everybody that's here, but I have 4 more here that I need to go over. Jonathan Tran-Schmidt, he will be a lead mentor for Montgomery. He is returning. He is a NAVAIR engineer. He is an aerospace U.S. Navy Reserves aerospace officer. Let's see. He attended Cal Poly Pomona. His work position responsibilities include landing gear and shop support and analysis. He will be working with Montgomery High School. Expectations for his high school students: learn, get messy. If at first you don't succeed, keep trying and keep flying. So that is Tran-Schmidt.
Especially keep flying.
Keep flying.
We want to see that.
Yes. Yes. Our next returning engineer will be Chris Linko. He's currently in Canada on assignment, and he'll be back.
Is this Mr. Linko's?
He was the one that worked with Eastlake last year. Mr. Linko, yeah. This year he will be returning to Eastlake, but of course it's going to be when he gets done with Canada. So as soon as he can make it, he'll be here. He's an aerospace engineer. He went to the California State University Long Beach. Work position: he is on the Legacy A through D forward fuselage team, and he's a structural engineer, and he does strength analysis. Again, his high school is Eastlake, and of course his expectations: surpass last year.
Well, that's going to be tough because I think last year East Lake won.
Yes. So
If I'm correct. And they use FPV and they use autonomous.
Yes.
Which we're going to get to all those details in a little bit.
Yes. Our next mentor is Alex Sanchez. He will be returning this year. He's an aerospace engineer. He attended the University of California, Merced. He works on the F-18 A through D center fuselage structures. Let's see. He will be working with Olympian. His expectations for his school continue to show the same enthusiasm for the project as previous years. Get more efficient and get more efficient when breaking up into specialized groups. And our last but not least is Jocelyn Laredo. She will be returning to Olympian as well. She is an aerospace engineer. She's a graduate of SDSU. And she also works on the forward fuselage team, A through D legacy. And her expectations are for her students to have fun.
I know on the list, some of the mentors, you assigned a couple mentors to Chula Vista High School. Chula Vista High School was part of the challenge the first year.
The first year, yes.
So last year we didn't have Chula with us. We hope to find a teacher from Chula Vista High School to join the challenge again. We have mentors assigned to the school, and we're eager to have them back.
Yes.
Spartans.
It would be fun.
So I think it's time for talk about the nuts and bolts, the dirty work about the challenge. So we know that the challenge is divided in 2 days.
Yeah.
Day one is a Friday where there's going to be presentations. And there's something called ground mission.
Ground mission.
So can you tell us what is the ground mission?
So the ground mission isn't necessarily something where you have to worry about flying your aircraft through an obstacle or anything. It's more or less being able to prove that you can assemble your aircraft to airworthiness conditions after being dropped in a box. Basically the same ground mission as last year. I think the difference this year is we're including some stuff. We're including the weight of some extra stuff.
So the ground mission is they're not flying. There's nothing.
There's a quick little, once you
Put
get
together.
your aircraft together, do a little 5-minute hover, but it's not necessarily an obstacle challenge.
Okay. And that day, that Friday, which is May 3rd, so the dates for the challenge are Friday,
Those are for sure.
May
Those are
3rd.
set in stone now?
Those are well, that's so far.
Okay, good.
It's we try to stay away from AP testing. We try to be away from standardized testing. There's a lot of different things going on in throughout all the high schools, proms, different things. So we want to keep as close as we can to those dates. Those dates, especially because we have other programs running at the same time. So May 3rd, Friday, will be the presentation and the ground mission.
That would be great.
So can you tell us briefly what is the expectations for the presentation? What are we supposed to have?
So the last 2 years, the presentation has been pretty laid back. The first year, we had all the students come in as individual groups before the judges. Last year, we had all the students in the auditorium, and then there was a team up on the stage going through their presentation with the judges watching. I believe this year we're going to do the same thing with the auditorium with all the students, but the judges are going to get more animated.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yes.
People might be wondering where will be the location for this year's challenge. We are exploring different venues, and one of those venues will take us to a partnership with the city of Chula Vista and local businesses related to flying drones. So stay put for a location to be determined.
What's the tentative location?
The tentative location, we had an offer from Hilltop High School to host. We had an offer from Sweetwater High School to host again because we've been there twice.
Good.
So we have plenty of different locations that we can host, but we are definitely looking forward to increase our partnerships and bring the city of Chula Vista to this program and collaborate with them.
That'd be great. Yeah.
So that's the presentation and the ground mission, and the details for that are explaining the guidelines and rules of the challenge that are in the Google Drive folder.
They're in the Google Drive folder. Yes, they are.
Now this is the thing that everyone's waiting for. Okay, let's talk about the challenge day, and I think everyone needs to know that when we worked on this program, we try to stay away from the word competition. So
Yes.
this is a challenge, not a competition.
Yes.
Why is that, Jose?
So, well, first of all, I'm not a big sports fanatic. I don't really care for sports very much. I did play basketball in high school, and
Please tell me you watched the Super Bowl.
No.
Or the commercials.
I don't even know
list.
who was playing, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
So the reason why I wanted to make it a challenge is because I wanted to give everyone the opportunity to help everyone out. For me, when I think of the word competition, I think of squashing your opponents, making them no bueno. I don't like that.
Okay.
I would much rather raise somebody up than squash them down. I'm of the opinion that if serving is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you. So I would much rather help and serve everyone, accomplish the challenge. Now, we do give awards. That's been a question from a lot of students. Why do we give awards if it's not a competition? We want to be able to recognize the time they spent and, of course, their accomplishments. So that's all I got to say about that.
So let's talk about the first mission in the challenge, which is not the ground mission, but is the race. And everyone, all the students are wondering, what is this thing race about?
So something to keep in mind, something to remember. The last 2 years, you've been able to use the same pilot for multiple races.
And that's a change that we're having this year.
This
so
year is a
so
change.
last year it was only one pilot and one backup pilot.
Yes.
That's correct?
Yes.
So this year we have a different expectations in regards to that.
It's going to be one pilot per mission.
So you're telling me that the team that won last year cannot use the same pilot again, one mission and then next mission and next mission?
That is correct. He's
Oh
only
my
allowed to
God.
fly one mission.
Okay, so we're going to have how many pilots this time?
So since we have 3 flying missions, then you're going to have 3 pilots.
So each school is going to have 3 official pilots and 3 backup
3
pilots.
backup pilots.
Okay, so that's a big change. And the
Yes.
race consists of going through tunnels or
Going through obstacles. The last 2 years, we've used certain types of pylons on the baseball field, using the bases themselves, with obstacles between the bases. I believe we're going to have those same obstacles this year.
someone has been asking for like through obstacles. You know how we have over, under, and around? Someone said maybe we should have some through with fire.
No fire, no.
So we'll see about that.
Yeah.
But most likely, yes, we're going to replicate the obstacles that we've used for the past 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's mission number 1, the race. And we hope for the teams to be ready to be able to, let's say, they crash during the race. So there's not a lot of time for the teams to have, backup drone and just go at the next mission. So they have to be able to have spare parts and ready to fix that up if you guys crash. So
Yes.
fix it up and get ready for the next challenge, which mission number 2 is firefighter. You
Yes.
said something about fire. No fire?
Well, that's not real fire. This is going to be a simulated fire.
Okay, so tell us about the
So,
firefighter mission.
We had a firefighter mission written in the rules last year, but we had a lot of issues last year and we couldn't quite get to that point. So we pulled that part out. So we're using it again this year. This year, you must make a module that can put out a fire. Now, the fire in this case is going to be elephant toothpaste. You guys familiar with elephant toothpaste? There's like a part A and part B.
So it looks like we're incorporating some chemistry here.
A little bit of chemistry.
So it's not just math, science, technology.
No, there's some chemistry.
Chemistry.
Yeah.
Well, that's
There's
science.
always chemistry.
There's yes, I know. There's always chemistry. So what are the details with the firefighter? So there's going to be a fire
So they're going to have a
simulation?
target. Yeah, they're going to have a target, and in that target, there's going to be part A of the mixture, and then they have to squirt part B. So when they squirt part B into part A, it foams up, signifying the fire going out.
I've seen those videos, so they're pretty fun.
Yeah.
So
It should be a lot of
that's
fun.
how we will know that they have extinguished the fire.
Yes. Yeah. No
Okay.
foam. No out. No,
Okay.
No,
Something that I remember last year for the pilots that we had, the teams that had FPV, they had a significant advantage
Huge
over
advantage,
other teams. Even though you can have spotters on the field
Mm-hmm.
to guide the pilot on where to go in different directions.
Yes.
I think it made a huge difference for the teams.
difference.
It's not a requirement. It's not mandatory.
It's not a requirement.
But if you have the time to play a little bit with the FPV
It's
portion of
highly
the,
encouraged.
go for that. Next mission into the challenge day, we have the supply delivery mission.
Yes. So this is a takeaway, or kind of like the same thing from their first year where we had the water bottle. They had to go and pick up a water bottle. This time they have to pick up 3 water bottles and deliver them to 3 different places. So the first water bottle they pick up, they go to their first target. Second water bottle, they'll have to come back, pick up the second water bottle, traverse through an obstacle, go to the second target, so on and so forth, till they get to the third target.
Okay, so that seems pretty clear.
It should be cut and dry.
So you're basically saying that the kit, the basic kit of the drone, does not include all these different attachments or mechanisms to accomplish
the
this.
students have to design that on their own.
Okay, can they modify the design of the drone that they're getting?
Can they modify? Yes, they can, but there's a lot of research and development done when you look into modifying something, and they don't have a whole lot of time.
So is it safe for me to tell the students and the teachers and the mentors, and I don't know if they had enough time to play with this thing, is they can modify many different components, size and dimension probably, but you might want to stay away from the separation and the distances between the motors and the propellers, because there's some chemistry to make it fly.
We can call it that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I remember about 5 years from last year, they modify mainly the landing gear, or they did some modifications to make it fly faster. So we'll see.
5 years?
5 teams.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we had 5 teams that modified the landing gear.
Yes.
One of the teams, Palomar High School, they had like huge monster truck type of wheels for the landing.
That was interesting.
That was an interesting design. So we're expecting that if they're making changes to the basic design, to be ready to answer during the presentation.
You have to be able to talk to why you made the change. You can't just make a change for the sake of making a change. Oh, that's ugly, I want to change it. No, you got to substantiate why you want to change it. You have to be able to speak to the benefits that you're hoping to get out of your change. So say, for instance, the landing gear. Landing gear, you're always cracking landing gear, or you're always breaking zip ties. You have to speak to why you made the change. So if you go from zip ties to fasteners to regular threads and nuts, then you can speak to the amount of weight you saved, or speak to the risk of taking on more weight by using metal fasteners. You can't just make a change for the sake of, I want to make it better. You have to be able to logically explain what and why you think you're making it better, which leads me to the presentation day. When they go through their presentations, the judges will be targeting the changes they made.
It's good to know.
Yes.
It's good to know now, because we have plenty of time to
prepare.
Jose calls it substantiate.
Substantiate, yes.
And that's a good word for...
It's a good engineering word.
It's a good engineering word.
Yeah.
So make sure you know why you're making changes, and you're able to justify, substantiate those changes. So with that, we have also an optional challenge.
Yes.
Which I was, to be honest with you, Jose, year 1, I was
scared.
I was very worried about this. I don't know if substantiate was the right word of going with for this. Year 2, we were a little more flexible, and we were more open, and we learned from that experience that if we give the opportunity to the students, we can be surprised.
Yes.
And the optional challenge is autonomous.
Yes.
So this is not a requirement. You don't have to complete the autonomous portion of the challenge, but you are highly encouraged to tinker and play with the autonomous portion of the challenge, which is
doing a supply drop with your water bottle.
That's good. So with that, we have covered the main 3 missions of the challenge day, which are the race, the firefighter, the supply delivery, and the autonomous portion, which is optional.
Yes.
So I'm going to look at Alec and see if we have any questions at the bottom of the screen from our channel. Nobody's asking any questions.
Sweet.
So what we're gonna do briefly, we have about 5 more minutes to finish. We're gonna transfer ourselves to the next studio.
There was a change.
Oh, there's a change.
Yes. Remember
Okay.
we talked about the final design report?
Oh, yes.
This
Can
year,
you-
this year we are not doing a final design report because of one of my engineers highly recommended or suggested or pretty much
Force
stated.
you. Let me guess.
Those are awful.
Female engineer.
Yes, female engineer.
They can do these things.
Yes. So instead of doing a final design report, this year you'll be doing an engineering design notebook. So if you have any experience with VEX robotics, you'll be doing basically the exact same type of engineering notebook that you've done for VEX.
Basically, it's documenting, the build process, the design modification
Yeah.
process. And
My expectation is that each student will have their own notebook.
And someone also told me, I think you mentioned this earlier or in another session, that there's some changes also with the budget assigned to each school, or how much money
Yes.
they can put into this project.
Yeah, so this year their budget is, I believe I put it up to $500. But there's a caveat to that because that $500 is not coming from NAVAIR and
And it's not coming from-
Sweetwater.
Really?
Yeah, so
That's good because
you
we-
have basically a cap of $500, but that means you have to raise your own money, your own $500.
And what type of things can they buy with the extra? Is
Well,
spare
if
parts
they don't
count?
if they don't have FPV gear, it would be nice to have some FPV gear.
Okay. So
If-
FPV can be part of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If you wanted to maybe get some prop adapters instead of having to worry about fasteners all the time, you can probably invest in some prop adapters.
So they're not restricted to buy extra stuff, spare parts for their drone, but
I
they
would
can.
encourage that they buy extra motors and extra props. 'Cause
Just in
they're
case.
They're gonna ruin them.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a couple of extra speed controls too.
And again, this is money that they can use through their own means, meaning fundraising or sponsorships from organizations or families involved with the team.
Yes, yeah. And
Okay.
in previous years, the first 2 years, we made it a limitation that anything you had on hand counted towards that budget, which means if you already had a motor, then you had to count it on your budget. This year, you don't have to count it on your budget.
Okay, so that sounds good. Sounds good. Now we have on the studio next to our studio. Sounds cool, huh? We have your prototype, and I was told by some of your engineers earlier today that you guys tested it yesterday.
Saturday.
Oh, it was Saturday?
Saturday we tested it, yes.
It was Saturday.
Yeah,
and
so they showed up Friday after work,
Okay.
bright-eyed and bushy-tailed after a long day of work, and we went through a little bit of a familiarization class.
So Alec is looking at me like, what's gonna happen? Alec, we're gonna walk over there. We're gonna jump to the next studio. Jose is gonna take that mic off, and I'm gonna give him this mic, so he can just point out specific things that we should be aware of for the students. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, no, that's great. Yeah.
Okay, so do you mind taking your mic off, and I'm gonna give you this mic, and let's jump to the next studio. I also have with us today in that studio the upgrade keto parts for the schools that are coming back. So if you want to show some of the elements that they're getting, so they know what is that. But this is, I'm gonna stay here. There you go, looking at the camera, and jumping to the next studio.
Well, okay. All right. So let's start with the kit first. Let's start with. So with your kit, you're going to get a piece of all thread. If anything, the piece of all thread is good to have to make fasteners that you may not be able to find. You can make any length fastener you need with the all thread.
And this is the
Sorry.
camera.
I'm looking at you guys. So this is your all thread. You can make any length fastener up into the length of that all thread. Do I need to talk?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. The next thing you're going to get is your props. This year, again, we're getting 9-inch props, and you have 3 left and 3 right rotating. And a bag of goodies. Can you open them? We have some some more hardware here for you to make with your all thread. Extra hardware to make any length hardware you need. You're gonna get.
Feels like Christmas.
Yeah, you're gonna get some extra connectors. Everyone, it's always nice to have extra connectors. These are so you can solder to your speed controls or your batteries. That's what these connectors are for. If you happen to get a battery that doesn't have your XT60 connector, you're going to get your connectors along with some heat shrink, and you're going to get a lot of heat shrink.
So when you say extra, that means that they don't have to use all those parts, but they're getting more than enough to.
Oh yeah, this is more than enough. Yes. And you're getting
speed controllers.
2 extra speed controls. Now these are the Turnigy 30 amp speed controls, so we want to make sure we stick with 30 amp. So if your club doesn't have 30 amp, then you need to look at getting 30 amp speed controls. If you have 20 amp, you cannot mix 20 and 30 amp.
Which, by the way, on the Google Drive, we share with them the bill of materials.
That has the location where they can order all of that.
Which lists all the components for hexacopters or quadcopters.
So there's 3 bill of materials on there. There's one specifically for the quadcopter that just talks about the parts needed to build, like the physical parts, not the electronics. And then there's one for the hexacopter as well. And then there's a full-length bill of materials that has all the electronics for each type of airframe. So here we have the power distribution harness. For the first 2 years, we used a quadcopter, which only had 4 red and 4 black. This year, with the hex, we have 6 red and 6 black. So this is something that I spent some time this summer kind of messing with. I did want each school to get one of these, but I also introduced the idea of making your own power distribution
I can hold this for you.
So if you look inside, I'm totally messing this up. All right.
And probably this is explaining one of your videos how to do a power distribution board.
No, there's no video for this, but the mentors were shown a quick demonstration, and this is something you can research on YouTube. Just make sure when you try and do it, if you try and do it, not saying you have to, just be careful with it. Don't burn anything. So that's the power distribution cable. That's just extra wire. You're getting. Dun, dun, dun.
Help you with that. This is
the new battery.
This is like the monster truck type of a battery.
No, this is way stronger than a monster truck battery.
Can you, as I open this box, can you explain the safety related to these batteries? Because I think last year we got some bags for them to charge those batteries. So what is the worst that it can happen with these batteries?
Well, it can blow up.
Like explode?
Yes, explode something fierce. We don't want that. So
and why is that? So what are the safety?
So some of the safety classes they'll be taking through the college talks about the lithium polymer battery. These are 4-cell, 14.8 volt lithium polymer batteries. Lithium polymer is a very sensitive type battery. They don't like heat, and they need to be well taken care of. So whoever's on a quality team needs to spend some time doing their research on why these batteries are so sensitive. But the fact that they have a super high power density makes them perfect for multi-rotors. So that's something to consider for your presentation. You will be asked questions on why these batteries are so sensitive.
Good to know. We just got a question from Castle Park High School that's watching the video. So Castle Park High School is asking why they have only one mentor assigned to their team. And as we start the season, we're going to be looking around at the schools that not just continue participating, but also we might have one school that is not ready to be back, and we would just reassign mentors as we move.
This is true. Yes,
okay.
yes.
So
the chances are you may get a second mentor. And last year, every school got a fireproof bag. They're not explosion proof. They're only fireproof. And this is what you put your battery in when you charge it.
So we put it in, we connected it, and
Yeah,
you charge it.
there's enough space for the cables to stick out while you're charging it. So, yeah, leave the battery in there while you're charging. And this is the infamous DT750 kV motor. This is the motor that everyone will be using. We spent some time talking to this motor with all the mentors, so they all have a good idea on what the deficiencies are and how to overcome those deficiencies. Highly encourage you guys to spend some time with these motors.
Now, something that I have to point out, the distance or the length of the wires is not that big. So
No.
make sure that, whenever you're ready to solder, you do it properly. Otherwise, you're reducing the length of the wire, and you don't want to
Yeah,
get
you
to
don't
that
want
point.
to. Yeah, you don't want to cut it too long. I just go ahead and on my motors, I just used the length of what we had there and added the connectors. Hopefully you can see the connectors there. Soldered them on, and then I put heat shrink over them. You don't want to put heat shrink over both connectors because you have to disassemble and assemble every now and then.
That's a good tip to know.
So DT750, you're going to get 2 of those. You're going to get 2 speed controls. You're going to get 1 monster killer battery. You're going to get...
What about the batteries from last year? Can the schools that are coming back use those batteries?
Yes, you can use those batteries, but on challenge day, I wouldn't recommend you use those batteries because they may not be. They're only half the size, so you're only going to get
Half the power.
much less flight time. Yeah,
Okay.
they're the same voltage, but they're a smaller amperage. You're going to get a battery securing strap to hold your battery in place. You can probably see mine right here. I got 2 of them, one there and one there. So you'll get 2 of those. Those are easy to make too. You can buy Velcro at Home Depot.
And look.
Yeah, so last year we didn't have these. This year we're getting a soldering kit. I'm really hoping this is a good soldering iron. We will find out, but you're getting the whole kit, so that's cool.
Yeah, well, that's because most of
Can
the
we
teams.
open it?
Yeah, why not? So most of the teams, had a hard time soldering, and they didn't have the right components. So this year for the upgrade kit, we included a soldering kit. So let's see what's inside. Look at that.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah.
That's different tips.
5 different tips.
Solder right there.
Desoldering tool.
This is the extension.
Extra wire. Do we know what amperage this dude is? Or what wattage? Ooh, 60 watt. Yeah, that's going to be nice.
We have a question from Ms. Northrum from San Isidro High School. She's asking if it is like BEX. It is 1 notebook per team, and she's referring to the...
Yeah, so, I didn't finish that statement. I said I want each student to have their own notebook. And then, of course, the lead engineer or the lead person will work with the rest of the team and pick and choose from each person's design notebook to make 1 team notebook.
Sounds good. Then we also have a question from Ms. Belliquet. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Belliquet. She's asking, let me see. She's asking
Are you
when...
saying belly quit or...
Belliquet. Catherine Belliquet, the teacher from teacher
From
lead from
Palomar?
Palomar. She's asking when will the dimensions of the hexacopter be released?
Everything is already released.
So they can find that information in the Google Drive folder, rules and guidelines document?
So yes and no. So all the STL files are released, and the dimensions the mentors have. So really, if you built a quad last year, then the main frame
is the same.
Is basically the same. Yeah.
Almost the same.
Almost 90, about 95%.
Okay.
I would say. This year they're going to get a good drill motor. This will come in handy when you have to open up your holes on your parts because nothing comes finished size.
And again, that was some of the obstacles or challenges that some of the schools had last year, not having access to power tools like this.
Yes.
And we
so
hope that
having a drill motor is excellent. You still got to get some drills.
Excellent. Good. So let me ask you this question. So I don't see the FPV inside the upgrade kit.
Nope.
So the FPV is something optional, which means that they can choose whatever for the FPV, or how does it work for FPV? We're gonna give them a recommendation on what they can use, or is just whatever they think is best.
Well, I would say whatever they think they can afford. I wouldn't go crazy with it because you can go super expensive on FPV equipment. You don't need to purchase $500 goggles. That's just ridiculous. You can get an FPV camera for about $20. You can get a video transmission. What do you call it? The video transmitter for less than $20. And you can get the goggles for like $60. So there's no need to go super expensive.
We have an observation from Angel. He says that's a good drone. It's a good looking drone.
Thank you.
Even though NAVAIR does not refer to this system as drones,
No.
they are called unmanned airborne systems.
Aerial
But it's a good looking drone. We also have a question. Cesar is asking, what are the regulations on parts that we are allowed to attach onto the drones?
Can you refine that question? What are you asking?
So let me make an analogy with Bex. Bex is very peculiar about what type of parts they can attach to their Bex robots. Are there any limitations in what type of parts let's say they want to use Legos. Can they attach Legos to this thing? Can they use Bex parts attached to the drone?
Okay, so here's what it boils down to. Whatever type of module you design, however you decide to build it, if you decide to use Legos, I'm okay with you using Legos. Everything that you design module-wise to install onto the aircraft, you really have to know how to speak to that. This project, a portion of this project is being able to speak intelligently to your thought process going from your idea to an actual model. Just saying, I thought it would work and it worked, is not good enough. You have to be able to explain, you have to be able to talk to why you felt that was a good idea.
It's good to know that we have some questions coming in, and because of that, we have to jump back to our original studio. So, Jose, jumping back to original studio. And we're back to studio number 1. Okay, Jose, next question. And I'm glad that we have some questions. That means that the students are watching this broadcast. Question from Olympian High School. They are asking, if we were given FPV goggles as a gift, will it be considered as part of the $500 budget?
I would refer you to the rules for that. If any item that you put onto your aircraft, if you buy it, then it affects your budget.
So if it's a gift, it counts towards the budget?
I would need some help from my core group. Nick, Yuli, what would you say? Repeat the question.
So the question is, let's say one team gets as a gift, they get donated an FPV goggle. Does it count towards their budget of $500?
So on the rules, this is what I put on the rules. It says items which schools wish to purchase for simulating a course layout and testing your engineering solution are not included in the budget. The budget must include any and all costs incurred to build your engineering solution, including shipping and taxes. Any items used without expenditure of funds will not be included in the budget if they were purchased. Okay, this means any items you have on hand shall not be included as part of the budget.
Okay, so the answer is yes or no?
Read the rules, number 4 under funding H.
So it means that I'm going to venture with this answer. The answer is yes, but they have to be able to substantiate the real price of that component is.
Yes. Yes.
So it counts because let's say one team gets a donation of I don't know, like the whole FPV kit, which is worth $1,000. Is it fair for the rest of the teams to?
No, I think we got to draw a line somewhere.
So that to give them a short answer on that is yes, they can get a donation, but that donation counts towards their $500 budget. So the tricky part is they have to justify.
They got to speak to it. They got to justify it.
Justify it and make sure that the amount is real. The amount attached to that donation is real. We have another question here, Jose. The question is, are we required to use the 9-inch props?
Yes.
And
if you are a returning school and you are going to build the hex mod, you will fly with the 9-inch props.
So let me make sure I'm getting this right. So if they're coming back from last year and they're changing from quads to hexa, they are changing from 11 to 9.
To 9, that is
so
correct.
Yes.
Yes.
If they're a new school, they're starting with quads, so they
With
need
quads,
11.
They will swing 11s, yes.
Can the quads change to 9-inch instead of 11?
Yes, it can.
Nobody asked. I'm just asking.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
curious about that. And we have another question. They are asking, are we required to use the standard motors?
Yes.
Are we able to use different ones?
So it's going to be a difficult research and development time if you try and go with different motors. I understand that there are a lot of good motors out there, but a lot of times what happens is students want to go for faster spinning props, which I don't encourage, because the faster your motor spins, you cannot swing the large props. You have to go with a smaller prop.
And we've tested this prototype. We know the capacity of the motors. We know how much power we can get from them. So it's safe to play with them because we've done that.
Yes.
Okay, so let me say that again. Motors. No, don't change the motors. You can buy extra motors as spare parts, but don't change the motors. Also, with that,
what school was that question from?
This question was from, I believe it was Olympian, but I'm not really sure. So motors stay within the motors that we're using. Also, as Jose mentioned earlier, the motor controllers, they are 30 amps each.
Speed controls, yes.
Speed controllers. So stay within those requirements.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So they can buy extra.
Yes.
You're recommending the brand that they're getting, which is Turnigy.
Turnigy.
But if they find a similar brand, just make sure that it is 30 amps.
The same current, yes.
Right? So another question that we have from Castle Park High, and this is Gian Itani. What if a student is to bring a piece of equipment from their own collection which has been purchased prior to the competition?
Again, I refer you to number 4, funding in the rules. Letter H. Please read that. Any items used without expenditure of funds will not be included in the budget as if they were purchased. This means any items you have on hand. Any items you have on hand. That doesn't mean someone's giving you a gift. It's items you have on hand. It will not be included in the $500 budget.
Okay, and that's a question that Mr. Avasan from Olympian is asking. He says, yes or no? And I can see his face. Yes or no, Mr. Yoa? He's asking if, basically, this means that any items you have on hand shall not be included as part of the 500 budget, and you just answered to that question. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Then we have another question from Pierce Alonso. He's asking, are the teams able to use different size props, smaller, while just spinning faster?
No. No, at this point, it's going to become a safety issue. The aircraft, this motor and prop combination is designed to carry a specific load. If you go with smaller props, you're not going to get the same load. You may not even be able to pick the aircraft up.
So let me see if I'm getting this right. So if we change the prop size to a smaller size, they're thinking that they can go faster.
No, that's not correct.
Okay, because and they're not taking in consideration the weight of the
weight of the aircraft
of
and
the
all the
aircraft.
systems. Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, we're telling that if there are school coming back from last year, you're going to change your 9-inch props to 9.
Your 11-inch props.
I'm
to
sorry,
9.
your 11-inch propellers to 9.
To 9.
And if you are a new school, you're gonna stick with the 11-inch propellers.
Yes.
We're good. Let me see if we have more questions. It's good.
Yeah.
We're getting questions.
Yeah, it's good.
I think that's the last question that I have.
Good.
And I'm glad that we got some questions. It looks like people are watching this broadcast, and this broadcast is going to stay in the YouTube channel of the district, so you can refer to it. And
do we have any questions from the classroom? Any students here? You guys got questions?
We're looking.
Mr. Faust? We answered them already? Okay. How about any questions from the mentors? Are there any questions from the mentors? No questions from the mentors?
Any questions? No? You're good? It looks like
they have a question. They're formulating a question.
East High School
Eastlake is working on a question. They're not quite sure. Okay, we have a question.
I'll tell you what. He's going to ask the question. I'll just rephrase the question so you can answer, because people are not going to listen. They're not going to be able to hear what he asks.
Very good. Okay.
So we're ready for that question, and this is coming from one of the mentors. So the question, if I'm getting this right, and correct me if I'm wrong, is referring to the guidelines on the rules and regulations, and specifically for on hand. So the question is, what is preventing a school from spending their way to success, having access to more parts, and not being counted towards their budget? So is it safe to say that, what is the definition of on-hand parts or components? You see, I'm glad you guys are asking this.
Freaking engineers always looking for loopholes. Yeah. Yes. Any items acquired in the previous 2 years is considered on-hand parts.
There you go. So that's the definition we were looking for. So
on-hand.
any items that they got from previous years, they're considered as...
Is that a gift? No, they weren't issued those.
Oh, let me show the camera that on-hand device.
Oh my goodness.
So it looks like... Look at this.
No.
Can I wipe the screen with this, with my, from my tears?
You did, yes. Last year you did, yes.
So
this year, because you have them on hand,
let me ask the question, because you and I can hear, but the people that are watching, they cannot hear.
I'm
so
sorry.
we're here.
Yes.
So what Mr. Faust from Eastland High School is asking is the difference from last year to this year is last year, any parts extra on hand, not on hand, donated, not donated, counted towards the budget. That's the question, Mr. Faust?
Yes.
So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that what we're trying to do this year is, if you've been part of this challenge for 3 years, well, this is the third year, that means that you might have some spare parts from last year's, meaning speed controllers, motors, propellers, nothing fancy, maybe an extra XPV and an extra flight controller.
Maybe, yeah.
So those can be considered as
on hand.
But if you're gonna get a donation of...
but they're not on hand.
Oh, let me wear that stuff. What is that? I want to put this on.
I don't know. It's Jordy from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Is this FPV equipment?
That's pretty sexy. Work it, baby.
Oh my God! Do I look nice or what? Check me out. Let's fly. Let's take this for a flight.
That's pretty cool.
So
Yes.
these are okay. So this whatever they're getting extra, which is not was not provided for or by the program last year,
Yeah.
cannot be considered as on
Yeah,
hand.
I mean, we want to keep it as fair as possible. Sure, there are schools that have a lot of resources, but we want to keep it as fair as possible.
We have another question here from Ms. Belliquet. She's asking, well, it's more like a comment, but let's see if there's a question here. I purchased 32 propellers as a Christmas present for my students.
Oh, no.
Since we are a returning school, we cannot use the 11-inch. If a school wants this, we will give them for a donation, please. So there you have it.
I think
If you
that'll work,
are,
yeah.
and actually, we're looking for propellers for Castle Park High School and Mar Vista High School. So
That's
if
awesome.
Mar
That'll work
Vista
out great,
and
yeah.
Castle are looking for propellers, Palomar High School, Ms. Belliquet is offering 32 propellers that will fit your quadcopters. They are 11-inch. So thank you, Ms. Belliquet and Palomar High
That's
School
awesome.
for
Yeah, that's what I-
offering.
that's what I mean
And
by
that's what we're
challenge.
talking about.
Yeah,
So
that's
we're
it.
sharing resources.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Mr. Faust, did you guys have a question that you devised? For after the stream.
Oh, this is tricky. Okay, they're looking for loopholes. It's all good.
You can tell he's going to be an engineer.
It's all good. It's all good. So if we don't have any more questions, we have any comments, suggestions?
Gripes,
Any, Mr. Rubio? Any comments, suggestions, Mr. Faust? I want to thank Mr. Rubio for hosting us, for hosting this broadcast from Hilltop
Thank you
High
very
School.
much.
Thank you, Isley High School, for showing up. Mr. Faust, we appreciate the effort showing up. Thank you to all the engineers that made their way south through the 805. There's live after the 805. So, I mean, the 5, what is that? The 54?
I have no idea. Yeah.
The 5?
I live way up
Well,
north,
some people think that there's no live, down the. Well, thank you, and we appreciate your participation this year. So
Thanks a
it's
lot,
gonna
guys.
be a great year.
Yes.
We have plenty of time to work through. We have to modify some rules. We'll fix the rules. We're gonna be updating you with information.
Yeah, pay attention to that. If we have to update the rules, we can. So if you look for a loophole, I'm going to change the rules.
So that's good to know. And again, we want to thank the Sweetwater Union High School District for allowing us to play with drones.
Yes.
We want to thank NAVAIR for playing with us. We want to thank the community colleges, Palomar Community College and Southwestern Community College for their support. And we're looking forward. A great season. It's going to be fun. Be safe. These things are dangerous.
Yeah, they are.
Right?
Yeah.
Very, very dangerous. But we know that you are in good hands with your teachers and your mentors. So,
Safety first.
Bill, what was the motto we're looking into? Design, build, and fly.
And then crash and repeat.
There you go.
Yeah.
Design,
build,
build.
fly, crash, repeat.
Don't crash that often. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.